Well, good evening. Today is Thursday, February 11th, and let's dive right into our daring woman of the day. And her name is Lillian Riggs, a remarkable rancher. All right. So she grew up on a ranch her parents had built as one of the first families to settle in Bonita Canyon in Arizona's Chickasaw Mountains. It was fondly referred to as the faraway ranch because it was far away from everything. As a young girl, she helped with all aspects of cattle ranching, branding, roping, and herding. Her circumstances taught her to be self-sufficient and adaptable. If something was broken, you fixed it. If a cow was sick, you nursed it back to health. If you were hungry, you picked vegetables from the garden. That lesson stuck with Lillian throughout her entire life. She left home to further her education and spent several years teaching. Faraway Ranch went through some hard times after a severe drought, so the family opened it up to visitors wanting to experience life on a working ranch. Lillian returned to help with both enterprises, raising cattle and operating a dude ranch. There was a great show back in the day called Hey Dude. Yeah, just a side note. Anyway, that was the Dude Ranch, and it was a vacation destination where people learned how to cattle ranch by helping out. So one day, Lillian was hiking with her husband, Ed, and they discovered several stunning rock formations, an area that is now known as the Wonderland of Rocks. Lillian and Ed built hiking trails so more people could enjoy them, which helped to bring in more guests to the Dude Ranch. The area eventually became part of the Chickasaw National Monument. In 1942, Lillian went blind. Then in 1950, more tragedy struck. Lillian's mother and Ed both died. Everyone expected her to sell the ranch. It would be impossible for her to remain in charge, or so they thought. She had no intention of leaving. Just as she had done as a child, she adapted. She still covered her ranch on horseback, one hand on her reins, the other holding a rope attached to her riding companion's side. She continued to be a hands-on cattle rancher, literally. As the cattle went through the chute, she felt their teeth and shanks to decide which ones to sell and which ones to keep. It was said she could recognize each cow by touch, which is crazy to think that she's doing all this when she's blind, right? To check the condition of the pasture, she knelt on the ground and touched the grass to determine if it was fresh and tall enough for the cattle to graze upon. Lillian remained in charge of the Faraway Ranch into her 80s, never letting her blindness slow her down. She fully embodied the rough and tumble can-do spirit of the American West. That's, some of these women are so unbelievably inspiring, right? Because if I were blind, I don't think I could be a rancher. I don't think I could be a rancher, and I'm not blind. So anyway, our Disney story tonight comes to you from Sleeping Beauty, and it's called Chaos in the Kitchen. Now, dearie, Flora said to little Ahura. That's probably not how you say her name. It's time for your nap. Flora had just given the baby her bottle and settled in her cradle. Time to make supper, Flora said to Fauna and Merryweather, turning away from the snoozing baby princess and clapping her hands together purposefully. The three fairies gave each other uneasy grins. It was the first meal they had to prepare in the little cottage in the woods, where they would live until Aurora's 16th birthday. In order to keep Aurora well hidden, the three fairies had vowed to give up their magic wands and live as ordinary humans. But none of them had ever cooked, cleaned, or cared for a baby before. This was going to be quite an adventure. I shall cook a stew, Merryweather said. The others thought that was a wonderful idea. Stew sounded hearty and delicious. What a cozy meal for their first night in the cottage. I'll bake some blueberry biscuits and mash the potatoes, Flora said. Are you sure you know how? Asked Fauna. How hard could it be? Fauna, why don't you make a salad to go with Merryweather's stew? I'll try, Fauna said. Soon Merryweather was chopping meat and vegetables, Flora was mixing flour and water, and Fauna was slicing and dicing the salad vegetables. An hour later, dinner still wasn't ready. Merryweather's stew smelled like old boots. Flora opened the oven and pulled out her biscuits, which were as flat as pancakes. The mashed potatoes were terribly lumpy, and somehow most of the salad greens had ended up on the floor. The three fairies looked at one another in dismay. Back to the drawing board, I guess, girls. But let's not be too hard on ourselves. After all, we've got 16 years to learn how to cook without magic. And that's how long it's going to take, replied Fauna. Merryweather laughed. Fauna was obviously joking, wasn't she? Oh, chaos in the kitchen. Sometimes when I try to cook something elaborate, that's exactly what happens. It's more chaos. And I want to point out that, that story had the phrase, how hard could it be? I used to say that a lot. And I would say, how hard can it be? And whenever I say that before I do something, it means I'm getting ready to do something really hard. And more than likely, every time I say that, I'm like, how hard can it be? I usually end up doing that thing in the wrong way. I don't know. My mom always laughs when I say, how hard can it be? Because she knows usually what happens after I say that. I fail at something. In a funny way. It's not like my mom doesn't believe in me. She definitely does. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. That was just a random thought from my head and into this video. I have a lot of random thoughts. Ask my wife. And only about 70% of them have to do with Superman. Well, God bless you all. Stay safe out there, my friends.